Hi, I'm Paisley, and I'm an art and architectural historian.
And I'm Dr. Crow, and I'm a literary and cultural historian.
And today we're playing my favorite game, Civ 6.
We're playing as Persia with the new leader, Nader Shah.
So if you enjoy watching Civ playthroughs and learning about history, keep watching. So before we get started, we did want to say a word about the ongoing political and feminist revolution happening in Iran as we speak. We won't talk about it too much during our gameplay because we're not experts, but we really recommend you follow people who are and also amplify the voices coming out of Iran on the topic so that all the injustices will eventually be accounted for. So here's the game setup. As we said, we will be playing Nader Shah, and I picked his pretty turquoise colors. And we have a set of civs that we've sort of handpicked based on what we think we can talk about in terms of Iran's history and its relations with some of these other civs.
Yeah, we did focus on early modern period, less on the ancient civs because we know less about that. We should have had Russia, but we got scared, so we didn't put Russia in there because...
We're going for a culture win here.
Yeah, and it's very tough with Russia in the game.
Yes. And the map is Pangaea with legendary start positions, barbarians, heroes, and monopolies modes on. So we rolled a few seats here and we found this one, which was absolutely bananas. Ooh. Yes, I made the joke. And not only that, it's on a triple continent split.
So it's a banana split.
It's a banana split. Wow. That's true. And I think we're gonna move away from the desert for our first settle and towards this better tile. Banana tile. And we did move the warrior to see there is a tribal village not too far off, which I think I will save for my scout to find.
Okay. And we just founded the city of Mashhad, which actually is on the border of the desert too, right? So it's a pretty nice location, although I think it has less bananas in real life.
Yeah. And this is here Dasht Kavir, meaning
the desert.
The desert. It is the desert. It is a real place.
Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like there is someone very close to us.
Okay.
Which I think is hopefully a city-state.
Yeah, I think it should be a city-state.
Yeah, right? That's like way too close. And you can see the borders here.
Okay.
It's a city-state. We're going to be looking really carefully at the map. So we have here Sahand Mountain, Karkhe River. Ooh. Anything else?
Nothing yet.
Some
other river.
Yeah.
Karkhe River is actually supposed to be one of the rivers of paradise.
Ooh, interesting. Yeah. I'm sure there are a lot of bananas in paradise. Yeah. I love bananas. I literally had a banana shake this morning. And to get the historical conversation started, I saw during the Firaxis live stream of Nader Shah, someone was asking, well, shouldn't he be the leader of Iran, not Persia? And I was about to answer, but then realized I was writing a novel, so might as well save it for the video. And yes, it was Hong Kong.
Hong Kong, okay.
So do you want to get started on that question?
Well, that's a tough one.
Yeah.
It's a difficult one. It's not easy. Because on one hand, there is a difference, right? Iran is a very old Avestan Sanskritic term, right? It's very old, thousands of years old. Persia comes from the Greek version of Pars, which is the region which Cyrus and the Persian Empire originated from. There is a legal change that happens in 1935 under Reza Shah. Shah, by the way, means king. So Nader Shah, Shah is not his last name. Yes. It's just King Nader.
Yes, exactly. So a lot of people think the term Iran is newer than the term Persia, but that's not the case.
That's not the case. Iran is actually older.
I just got... Oh my god.
Wow, holy Lance, Batman.
So it looks like you just need to record your videos to get some streamer luck.
Yes.
Because that is amazing. That's going to give us faith and what else does it give you? Faith in tourism really early on.
Nice.
Awesome.
Because, at least from 300s AD, there's a very well-defined concept of the kingdom of Iran, right? Iran Zamin, the land of Iran. And this is adopted as the name of the state. I think first during the Ilkhanid period, so first during the Mongol period actually, but then when the Safavids come around, that is the name of the state, Iran. But it's always known from the outside as Persia. So for that reason, on one hand, it's not like one is correct and one is incorrect, or nowadays I think it's more politically charged, but previously it was, there are synonymous essentially.
Right. And it's kind of like how people say, I speak Farsi or I speak Persian. In English, it's called Persian. In Persian, it's called Farsi. I would say we're not sticklers for rules like this. You can say whatever you want as long as people understand you. And I think we will be using Persia and Iran interchangeably because we're speaking English, but also we're used to saying Iran.
Yeah, but also that is not to say that, for example, the different languages within Iran, the different ethnic groups, can just be collapsed into Persian, right? Because there's also a wide variety, extremely diverse population. So it's not quite the same as saying that, like, for example, all citizens of Iran speak Persian, because that's not true.
Exactly. So let's get into languages, right?
Yeah, we can talk about languages.
Oh, and it looks like we found Jerusalem
Ooh,
just
we
to the
found
south
Jerusalem.
of us. And it was a first meet.
Okay.
That's great.
So we're pretty isolated, actually. We're not too close to people.
Yeah. Well, let's look at the names here. Zargos Mountains, which are like close to Esfahan, right?
Yeah, so western mountain range of Iran. So Iran, you can imagine it kind of like mountains on the edges, and then the center is a kind of flat, arid plateau. I think most of the population lives either around those mountainous regions or on like oases.
And we have Karun River, Damavand, all Jaj Rud River. Rud just means river, so another river here.
Safid River up there.
Where's Safid River? Oh
Yeah.
yeah, Safid River. So it looks like an isolationist start, which is not going to be great because I am going for the bronze working.
We also have Namak Lake right there.
Yeah,
Means
which means Salt Lake.
Salty.
And here, yes, the religious settlements. Perfect. We get our pantheon so early thanks to the relic. Awesome. Where do we settle? I think we're going to settle the gypsum first.
Okay,
Get
sounds
extra
good.
money here.
So let's talk about the Persian language to start. It is part of the Iranian branch of the Indo-Iranian branch of the Indo-European family.
Right.
So it actually is in the same family as English, French, Russian, and it is the most common language of that branch. Other languages include Kurdish, Pashto, Gilaki, Mazandarani. However, it's also, because it's part of the Indo-Iranian branch, it's also very closely related morphologically to Sanskrit, Hindi, Urdu, Punjabi. But, you know, because of thousands of years of differentiation, it's pretty different. Except, though there are many loan words. So, for example, in Urdu, you will have many, many loan words from Persian. We talk about 3 stages of Persian.
Oh my god, they're coming for me. Well, hopefully this will get us our 3 kills sooner.
Yeah, definitely.
Ooh, Yenisei River.
Ooh, that doesn't sound Persian to me.
No, but Yeni is Turkish, but I've never heard of this. So maybe Mongolia,
You mean Mongol?
right?
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, because Mongolian and Turkish, like we said, are kind of part of the same family tree.
Yeah, they're distant cousins. Yeah, but there's a lot of words that are similar. So we divide Persian into 3 phases: old, middle,
With
new.
the sun shining
Ooh.
brightly,
We
then
have a
dusk's mist
wonder
falling.
so close to us. Okay, this start really is bananas. Amazing. And we found Vilnius. This was not a first meet. So we have another neighbor maybe close by. And we are going to maybe settle next to this wonder. This
Okay.
wonder, I think, gets you great general points and
Okay.
something else.
Could be useful.
Yeah. I'm assuming it's Mongolia. I mean, it could be. Oh, yeah. It
Okay.
is Mongolia.
There we go.
I was going to say it could be Turkey, but I don't think so.
So the language that people speak today is New Persian, and this develops really in the past 1,000 years. We also have Middle Persian before that, and it is split into a spoken bureaucratic language, Middle Persian or Pahlavi, and a religious language, Pazan. And before that, you also have a split, Old Persian, which was written in the cuneiform script, so it looks a lot like Babylonian. That language was a bureaucratic language, and then Avestan was the religious language. And we actually have a lot of Avestan texts, which were preserved by the Zoroastrian religion. But we don't have that many Old Persian texts, actually. So we know a lot of it from inscriptions, from monuments, but a lot of it was written on clay.
And Zoroastrianism is a religion in Civ 6, which you can't see. Right. And I don't think I'm going for religion.
Okay.
I don't think it's necessary for a culture victory. It is nice to have faith, but I don't think religion is necessary.
You gotta have faith.
Yeah. Great. And we can get a warrior here. This will be our 2nd kill. Oh, our third kill.
Perfect.
What? Okay.
I suddenly know bronze working.
Well, not yet. Three
Not
more
yet.
turns, and then we can settle next to wherever we find iron, which would be good.
But the difference between New Persian and Old Persian is pretty drastic. I don't think, except for really basic words, I don't think that many things survive. So like pedar, like dad, that's an old word, but I think most other words have changed drastically. But because it is an Indo-European language, there's a lot of words in between Persian and English that are actually etymologically related. So like cow, gov, these are related words. Mother, madar.
And that actually reminds me about the Civilopedia entries, which we read up on in preparation for
did.
this. Which said that no like one of the older ones. Do you remember which civ it was?
Yeah, Civ 3 and Civ 4, I'm not sure what happened.
It's not good.
It's not good. The Civilopedia entries, I think someone just gave up at the end of them. Because basically they say the last vestiges of Persian culture disappeared with the advent of Islam.
Yes. Which we literally just proved is not true.
Yeah.
Just 5 seconds ago. So.
And then Civ 4 is actually much worse. It says, the customs and religion of ancient Persia were destroyed. The population was absorbed into Islamic culture. Only a few remnants of Persia survive today. And it now belongs to the Arab world. Which is very wrong. It's not even wrong. It's just like totally...
Where did they come up with that?
It's like saying no remnants of French culture survive after World War II. Like it's just so wrong that it's hard to even comment on.
Right.
I think what they're trying to say is like ancient Persian culture, but even so many elements of ancient Persian culture survive, including Zoroastrian religion.
Yes, which there are practitioners of today.
Yes, festivities like Nowruz. Nowruz is the Persian New Year, so it happens on the spring solstice. The Persian language, Persian governmental and cultural elements, Persian texts, so much survives. Elements of Persian architecture, aesthetics. So it's just so wrong.
But it does change for this one, right?
Yeah, in Civ 6, they really improved it. They still say like there was an end of Persian culture, but they mean the Achaemenid Persian culture, which is the Persian Empire of Cyrus. Again, we'll dispute that because within the Persian tradition, Alexander, the Macedonians are considered to be continuers, inheritors of the Persian Empire, not the end of it.
Wow, Istanbul is so close to us. Maybe we should go after them.
Yeah, maybe.
But they're literally already building walls. Are you kidding me?
They're getting ready.
Okay, is anyone... It's turn 27. That's not normal, right? Is anyone else doing that? Or the other two? And I found almost everybody already. We are very close to our golden age, which is good. Actually, we have our golden age secured, so maybe I should stop scouting. Maybe I'll just keep looking in the tundra, because if we find that last civ, it's going to be like 10 era score, something like that.
But also, the Achaemenids are just one of the many, many Persian empires, right? So you have the Achaemenids, you can say rupture, you can say not rupture with Alexander. But then you just have the Parthians after that. You have the Sasanians. You have the conquest of the Umayyads. But then after that, you have Samanids, Ghaznavids. You have the Khwarezm Shahs. You have so many Persian dynasties, Persian-speaking dynasties, that it's hard to say the Persian Empire ends in that way. Also because these later empires will look back on the previous ones and they'll use elements, they'll use motifs.
Right.
You know, so we have the Persian Immortals, that's the unit that is in all the Civ games, but the Sasanians have their own immortal unit, right? And then the Pahlavi state in the 20th century will set up their own immortal unit, right? So they're reflecting back on this history. Even though the immortals themselves, we don't even know if they're real.
Oh god, I misclicked. Where do I go? How do I escape? Yeah, maybe over here. Maybe we should settle here while we can. Maybe here between the two luxuries.
Okay. We're near Lake Urmia. It's also a salt lake. A salty lake. It's not a salt lake. It is unfortunately not very well taken care of. So like the Aral Sea, if people know about that, it's on its way out as a sea. They're trying to revive it. Hopefully they can, but it's been very abused as a lake.
What do I build here? I'm a little confused. Well, I'm gonna settle my city here. Great, get some score, and that means I want to spend my gold on buying one of these tiles. So what does it give you? I have to exit here. What does it give you? What does it give you?
What does it give you?
What do you give me? Why is it not popping up? There we go. There we go. 2 general and 2 great merchant points. Awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, so we're going to get started on that right away.
And what city did we just found here?
Pasargad.
Ooh, so that is actually one of the capitals founded by Cyrus.
Yeah, this is the thing. They include Mashhad as a new city, but all of the other city names, I think, are only going to be ancient Persian.
Yeah, I think there is some overlap, like with older cities. I think Esfahan maybe is a city here, Shiraz, but yeah, they're mostly Persian Achaemenid cities. Gordian is in modern day Turkey. So we're gonna have a lot of ancient Persian names. Maybe we should rename some. Like, change that to Tehran or something.
Yeah,
but
it's hard to make decisions. I'm building a settler because I do want to settle more iron, or maybe I should settle this way while I can, but I don't have the card yet to build faster settlers. Maybe I should be working on that actually.
So one thing we can talk about in relation to our earlier discussion on language is what is the sort of boundary of Persian studies, Persian history, right? Because when you think about Persian language, that is a very expansive, cosmopolitan language, right? When Marco Polo went to the court of the Mongols, he didn't speak Italian, he spoke Persian, right? Because Persian was the same function that English has today. It was the interlanguage. For that reason, we have a notion in contemporary history called the Persianate, right? Now this is a term that was made by a historian named Marshall Hodgson in 1974, and he made a whole bunch of terms. Most of them did not catch on.
Persianate did.
Persianate did. And the idea was that it would be the cultures that are influenced by the Persian language, by Persian aesthetics, kind of constitute a sort of a realm where you could converse in Persian. One definition of the Persianate is that it's a socio-cultural zone that ties together Turkey, Central Asia.
The freaking desert storm hurt my warrior. Okay, let's go heal up in there.
But also, you know, the Persianate refers to a kind of sphere of customs, right? So one custom called adab refers to like aesthetic style, ethical conduct, being a cultivated person. And so some scholars like Manakia have talked about how adab is the thing that brings together this Persianate world. Other people talk about how Persian, even though it's claimed nowadays by Iran as a national language, how Persian in their eyes does not have a homeland, essentially. It's a wandering language. It's one that is constantly moving its center of culture from place to place, so that, you know, for a long period of time, India was actually the place where by far the most Persian speakers, Persian writing was conducted. Can the history of the Persianate world as this huge thing be written without just dismissing the notion of Iran as a unique space? Or
Spice. The southern side came out. Sorry.
Can the history of the Persianate world as this huge thing be written without dismissing
no!
the
to be the sky.
What happened?
I got too much era
We got
score.
too much. We're overloaded with era score.
Great. Okay, everyone stop moving except you just come here and then you stay there. And then no more era score, please. How many
Please.
turns? I can't stop playing the game for
10
turns
turns.
for era score. Forget that.
Forget it.
And here is our amazing trade routes.
Wow, look at that.
Internal trade routes. I think there's a bug in the game where it's supposed to be only cities you conquer get this trade route, but now it's all cities.
Okay.
So we're gonna make use of that.
Yes.
Oh, and they literally settled right there. Okay, perfect. We are going to go after Mongolia.
Yeah.
They already have walls.
Declaring war on Mongolia as Persia has not historically worked out, but we're gonna try it.
Yes. Can you try to remind me to switch off of this?
Okay.
When it's one turn left.
Okay.
Let's see if you can remember.
And some people have criticized the term Persianate. There's a writer, Shahab Ahmad, who wrote a very long book called What is Islam? And he answers it.
Okay, good for him.
But
I don't think I could have.
it's a very complex definition. But he says essentially that Persianate is not a good term because it runs the risk of making it seem like, you know, that it's Persian to the exclusion of something, right? Exclusion of Arabic, Turkish, Greek, whatever. And so for that reason, he has a different term, Balkans to Bengal complex, he says, which refers essentially to the same region as the Persianate. But he says he wants to make it geographic and not related to a specific language in that way.
Okay, so we got our early empire boost. I think a little bit too late because I'm only one turn away. And we will appoint, I think, Magnus in our capital because Magnus has 2 promotions that I think will be useful. Well, maybe one less than the other. But one is the super logistics. No. Surplus logistics, which will give us growth for trade routes that end here. So all of my cities are going to send trade routes to my capital where Magnus will be.
Wow, Mashhad's going to be bumping.
Yeah, that's the plan. Which reminds me, maybe we should speak about Nader Shah's abilities. So we have Sword of Persia, which is the new ability. You get +5 combat strength when attacking full health units. Cities not founded by Nader Shah receive +2 faith and +3 gold on domestic trade routes. So why do you think they have included this ability?
Well, I think they included it because Nader Shah really is the last of the great conquerors to come out of Central Asia, right? After that point, after Nader Shah, is sort of gradually colonized by Russia, conquered by Qing China, conquered by the British from India. But Nader Shah comes out of Central Asia in that tradition of Timur, in that tradition of Genghis Khan, and really moves across Iranian plateau. However, he does this in a very modern way, right? He does this using huge artillery armies, which is why people compare him often to Napoleon, because Napoleon was known for his use of artillery.
Right, so we are building one more settler. I guess the 50% is still good.
And also, I want to give a shout out to the developers for their depiction of Nader Shah. I think it's really good. I like the way they did this.
I immediately understand where the jewelry is coming from. It's a reference to his plundering of India. Yeah, I think he looks pretty accurate. Based on the depictions we do have, of course, you know. This is something that people need to learn when they first enter art history as a discipline, is that the portraits that kings make of themselves are not the same as a photograph. Even photographs can be sort of manipulated to make someone look like what they ideally want to look like.
Yes.
But a portrait especially so, right?
Yeah.
Like
So
they
this-
will exaggerate features, they will change, you know, whatever they want in a painting, and it is not an accurate depiction of who they were.
Yeah, so all those paintings you see of like the freakish looking Habsburgs, that was how they wanted to be seen.
Yes, because yeah, like the freakishness was actually something that was
Distinctive about them.
Yeah.
Made them royal. Yeah.
exactly the incest made them royal. Oh my god.
In a gentle eruption, but it's still destroyed.
My 2 luxuries. It's okay, I have a builder coming out soon.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'd rather have the better starting base. So let's go there, and then let's move our warriors up. Oh, you almost forgot to remind me.
Yeah. Oh, ooh.
There was about to be a divorce in this family. Okay, so let's go for irrigation. That's
Okay.
great, because then I can get a farm pretty soon. So that's the new Nader ability, Sword of Persia, which I think works really well, and the name also is significant, right?
Yeah, Nader's army were very well known for their particular swords. I mean, they're called shamshir. I mean, it's sword, but they were, you know, very distinctive because they're curved sort of swords. But they're also very well known for the use of really huge, humongous muskets. I don't even know how they carried them.
Yeah, which a lot of people were saying Persia could have used a new unique unit, because the Immortals doesn't quite make a lot of sense, but they did have this unique... Was it a cavalry unit or just a musket unit?
It was a cavalry unit, but it was a camel which had a cannon on the top of it, and you would just shoot the cannon, which seems very uncomfortable for the camel. I feel kind of bad for them. Could have been an interesting unit for sure.
And then what's the Jazairchi? What's the one called?
Jazairchi was the name of the musketeer who had this huge musket. So that also could have been a good unit, but that is, I believe, the name for Nader Shah's unique agenda.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
But yeah, people were sort of complaining that this Civ doesn't quite make a lot of sense with their kit when you look at it all together. Why does Nader Shah have, you know, the Immortals or the Paradisa, which is Paradis in Persian?
Yeah, and I agree with that to a certain extent. I also think if you look at it maybe more abstractly, it kind of makes sense, right? Like Paradisa refers to a paradise garden, and that tradition of paradise garden building continues into Nader Shah's period, right? With the Paradis, Charbagh, a garden split into 4 corners.
Right.
And that is a tradition that continues and is built by Nader Shah. So in that sense, it makes sense, I think. But yeah, Immortal Satrapies clearly is referring to a much earlier period.
Yeah. So I'm going to be building lots of warriors so that I can upgrade them into the immortals. That's my plan.
And actually, I believe we just founded the city of Ray next to Damavand. So that is actually very accurate, I believe.
Yeah, there it
Damavand
is.
is a huge, huge mountain near Tehran. Ray is the very old portion of Tehran. It's to the south of the modern city. It was still inhabited for a long time.
Ooh, got 20 iron. Did not need that. But I can sell it right away. Not to my enemies. Portugal's fine. I mean, okay, I think I want to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 immortals should be good. And then how far are we from getting? Oh my god, this will be so nice to get a
Sun
great
Tzu,
general
yeah.
too. This is gonna go well. I think this is gonna be the best game I've had ever.
Wow. Don't jinx it.
Yeah, well, oh, and there's swordsman.
Okay, time to run.
Never mind.
You know, this sort of very long time span between Cyrus and Nader Shah, in a certain sense, actually reflects the different ways in which Persian history has been conceptualized. You know, because there's sort of three ways people have thought about it. One is a tradition that is indigenous to Persian political thought, and this is the notion of cyclical history, exemplified most poetically by Ferdowsi's Shahnameh, right, which is the great work of literature produced in the Samanid period.
How did my scout die? Freaking archers. But we entered the classical period.
And I should say Ghaznavid period, not Samanid period. But it is in, you know, the Book of Kings. It recounts the entire history of kingship in Iran from the creation of the world to the conquest of Iran by the early Islamic forces. And in the Shahnameh, the history of empires and dynasties is very cyclical, right? So you have a rise, you have a fall, but the notion of Iran continues. So Alexander is one of the Iranian kings of the Shahnameh, right? And you have both mythical kings, but you also have the Sasanians, you have the Parthians, you have these historical dynasties that are included in that history. The notion of Iranian history that comes out of the Shahnameh is one of a continuous Iran that nevertheless has rises, falls, but is able to absorb foreign invaders and absorb them into its culture. So there's also a notion of history as discontinuous, which I think is more related to kind of nationalist historiography. It sort of emerges with the late Qajar periods, the late 19th century, and during the 20th century. And in this notion, there are periods of Iranian history that are dark ages, that are sort of disconnected from the flow of Persian culture. So that can include Alexander in the Hellenistic period, it can include the early Islamic period, the Mongols, it can include the Turkic dynasties. But in any case, that history tends to kind of make a jump. So it looks back to ancient Persia and says that was the original, that was the, you know, essence of Persian culture, and we're trying to get back to that. So that became a really important ideology in the Pahlavi period, 20th century. Contemporary scholars really, again, try to push back against that and look instead at continuities, at the way in which notions of being Persian, of Iran, move from place to place. And again, we don't really like to use the term Dark Age anymore, right? So we try to avoid thinking about history in those terms.
So there was one last thing to talk about, which is this idea of barbarian, right?
Many people know the term barbarian comes from Greek. They heard people speaking not Greek and they thought it sounded like barbar. So they called them barbarians. The Persians were indeed called barbarians, but it should be noted that this notion of like really harsh Greek on one side, Persia on the other side is, again, a modern distinction. And we have texts like Xenophon's Civilopedia, like the play The Persians, which are not these kind of like, oh, they're just barbarians, right? In fact, it's all about Persia as a model for a specific ideology, specific political ideology within Greek culture. So because of that, even though barbarian obviously, even in Civ, has a very negative term, in regards to Greece and Persia, at the time, it had a rhetorical use.
Okay, so I think we are getting ready for battle here. We are gonna upgrade our warriors into immortals right now.
Ooh, who but Persia could create the immortal?
Great. Interesting artwork here.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know what they look like, so.
We don't really know what they look like. We kind of base our depictions of them usually on the reliefs at Persepolis,
Yes.
but we don't know if they actually refer to immortals.
Yes. So I think in the next episode, we'll get into Persepolis and start off a little bit with the ancient history.
Yeah. It's not our specialty.
So it'll just be one episode,
Yeah.
but I'm also going to have to plan a government plaza around here. And then we're gonna start our war with Mongolia in the next episode.
All right, sounds good. And please remember to subscribe if you liked the video, and to leave us any comments or questions if you have them in the comments below.
Thanks. Bye, everyone.